Hey guys, welcome to Boys of Summer Review Show. I'm Joe,
This is Jeremy.
and today we are going to talk about Tomorrowland. Now, normally we would have some breakdowns of various aspects of the movie that we just wanted to discuss. We generally have a pretty lengthy amount of notes. For this one, we're probably just going to just go straight into it and just kind of riff as the case may be, because we honestly struggled to come up with things to say about this. The movie just sort of happened, and I left the theater with no discernible difference than when I entered it. So I feel like that could be, you could say the same.
I could say exactly the same. I mean, I've thought about this movie since we watched it, and
We saw it on Sunday.
yeah, it's not like Hot Pursuit or Pitch Perfect 2 or Avengers, what we've reviewed so far, and we had different talking points. With this one, there's like very few points that I feel like we could talk about.
Yeah.
Other than that, this movie it's not a bad movie.
No, not by
And
any
it's like
means.
it's good, but it's kind of like we mentioned this before the review. It's kind of like a movie where you can watch it, but then again, if you don't watch it, you're not missing anything with this movie.
So I'd kind of just right off the bat, though, something that I did notice while watching the movie was how, and maybe why it's hard to form an opinion about it, is how it just seems like it's just a patchwork of other more entertaining films. Like, you definitely get like a little element of National Treasure was the thing that came to both our minds, where
Agreed.
it had like little moments like where the Eiffel Tower wound up being a rocket ship like launch pad.
Yeah, it felt just like National Treasure.
Yeah, just like the little hidden things. It had like a cryptex like in the Da Vinci Code, like the little like spinning like code.
Oh
thing,
yeah,
like,
when you in the same Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. It seemed like it just like borrowed elements like this was successful in this movie. The action felt like your standard fare, like, I mean, Avengers, like Terminator Genesis that's coming up. I mean, it had just like all the just kind of like explosions or martial arts moments and stuff.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
coolest action scene was in the trailer.
That wasn't a shame. Yeah,
because that was a really good action scene, but really, from then on out, you really don't get that best out of the other action scene aren't that good.
Yeah, the set piece at Frank Walker's house where you kind of see all his booby traps that he set up just in case the robots.
I forget what they're called actually in the movie, but they call them robots in the movie too, so it's kind of funny.
But yeah, just like all the little like tricks and stuff he had for defeating them.
That was really cool. I enjoyed it.
Which was a good scene and kind of showed off like a lot of the direction that the movie could have went and and utilized the sort of technology, as far as the CGI and special effects. I mean, it was like a showcase for all that, and I think it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably why they chose it for trailers in the movie. But when the trailers are just that scene, not even cut up, not even with parts missing, just that scene from point A to point B, and we've already seen that like 2-3 weeks before this movie ever even came out. Once you're actually in there in the theater, you don't care. Like, you have no investment in it because
you've already seen it.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, like that's not gonna, like, I felt like it had a bunch of things that were supposed to be like ha ha, like, like laugh moments or sort of like wow. And if you've already been exposed to it, that it means nothing. I felt like they could have picked like the scene in the Blast from the Past store, like bits and pieces of that.
That was actually, now you mentioned that was a great scene
was
too. That was probably really good. That was a shame too, because those were in the beginning, which it felt like forever.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get to something in a minute, but that was another that scene was awesome when they were in the Blast from Past store.
Yeah,
it worked really well. I really enjoyed those two scenes, but then again, those were the only two scenes that really had I wish the whole movie kind of took that feel and spread throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also had like, it benefited from having two really good just actors in general, but also comedic actors in Catherine Hahn and Key from Key and Peele.
Yeah, it's funny because he was in Pitch Perfect, the previous week, and now he's in Tomorrowland.
Exactly.
2 movies in a row. Moving on up, Key.
Yeah, he's a Boys of Summer regular.
Yeah, for real. And he did great in both movies.
Yeah, but, you know, like, it benefited from that. It just... Yeah, it's like action from your standard action movies. Like, the intrigue adventure from your standard adventure movies. Like, your Indiana Joneses and stuff like that, too. Just a bunch of stuff, you know, sci-fi elements that we've all seen about, like Minority Report-ish, like, you know, and like how they were able to see like what happened in the future, like that machine, the monitor.
Oh yeah, wow.
Basically that.
That's a really good point. I didn't even come to me, but
yeah,
I'd probably because I haven't seen my Minority Report in a while.
Yeah, you know, the dystopian, authoritarian future like that you've seen in so many things. Like I mean, it even talked about 1984, like George Orwell's 1984, and it's like, well, it's kind of weird to make mention of something that you're clearly deriving your movie from, because I mean, there's a lot of elements of that in there. So it just had problems of trying to be too many things at once, I think, and because it didn't do anything new, it didn't reinterpret any of the things it was borrowing, it made it a little bland. Going on then to, because it felt bland, it also felt long. This movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes. And it felt
much longer than that.
Well, it felt every bit of that at least. And that's not good, especially for like a movie that's kind of supposed to be like high action and fun. Like, for you to actually like physically feel like every minute of it, it detracts from the aim of the film. And I mean, you know, you can talk a bit more about how you felt about this.
I just felt it was really long. Like the beginning of the movie, we took too long with the little kid, with Frank as a child.
Yes.
Then we took too long. What was the main actress's name in the movie? Her character's name.
Casey.
Casey. We took too long with Casey and her family before she even met Athena, there you go. I was going to say something else, but I was like, that's completely wrong. Yeah. But before she met Athena, I just wish we would took one scene of Frank as a child, and then when she first goes to the NASA
the site,
the docking station or whatever, the launch pad, and if I thought she was going to get arrested then. And I thought it would be better if she got arrested the first time.
Like after.
The first time you do it, she got arrested. She never went. And then it went from there to where she got the pen. Then she met Athena. And then we sped the whole scene of it. Even though the cool when Athena was running and all that was cool. Yeah. And the Best Pet store. But I wish we kind of would just sped it up. Got to Tomorrowland quicker. And I thought the movie would have done better if instead of like a machine in the future, like Tomorrowland got corrupted by it, and like they had to like get Tomorrowland back. Like I thought, you know, it'd be cool if Tomorrowland was just kind of taken over and they all got kicked out. Now they gotta get back to it and like take it back over.
Yeah,
I thought that might have been a better than, you know, the machine that tells the future and all.
Yeah, because that just seemed like it was a lazy way to sort of reinforce the theme of, you know, the future is bleak unless we're the ones to change it, you know. Like,
it was very preachy. The movie was very preachy.
Yeah, I felt like that was just like it was to hit us over the head with it, and I felt like that just didn't really serve anything because we weren't ever even introduced to the monitor until
the third
act, and like halfway through the third act, even, you know, like basically.
I mean, we got introduced to the monitor.
Like 20 minutes left.
Then they went through that little when they got locked up. Then they got the idea. Then went to the final.
And then it went action
piece. And then the movie was basically over.
Yeah.
And then the movie dragged out for another 10 minutes.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, there was too many points where the movie like lingered a little too long on something. Like you said, there was a lot of scenes that felt like they should have just been cut. Like, honestly, the scene where Casey calls her father and it's just like, "Hey, I just want to let you know I lied." Like that felt so much like the deleted scenes on a Blu-ray. Like the perfect thing to be in that. Yeah. Because it did nothing to push the story forward.
No, you could cut that. You could cut a lot of stuff. I mean, just I feel like in the edit room they should have just trimmed it down, and they should have had a new ending with a new boss, and
Yeah.
got to Tomorrowland 10 times quicker, and
Yeah,
the movie would have felt much more better at pacing wise.
Yeah, it should have been Tomorrowland like middle to end of second act, not like immediately beginning.
I think you should have been Tomorrowland middle second act.
Yeah. We sort of discussed that, like, humanity's propensity for self-destruction, like their self-fulfilling prophecy was the antagonist. I felt like you should have gone with made Governor Nix, because he was mentioned multiple times. He was mentioned more than the Monitor was.
The Monitor wasn't even mentioned
exactly
until they alluded to it.
Until you were there.
They alluded to it, but they weren't even mentioned. Governor Nix was the robots mentioned Governor Nix twice. I mean,
Casey's asking who he is.
Yeah,
I felt like you should have made him something. In fact, Governor Nix should have been. I mean, this is like a complete reimagining of the third act or whatever.
That's what it needed.
But Governor Nix should have been the thing Frank made. Like, he made, like, artificial intelligence or something. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and take something from movies, you might as well have it where it, like, guy who's too smart for his own good makes the engine of his own destruction. You know, Governor Nix should have been what he created that he shouldn't have created.
And I think that would have been really smart.
Yeah, and then that's why tomorrow, and like that countdown could have been like it's like a countdown to, I don't know, like when it plans to like invade our world or just.
I don't think you even needed the countdown.
I mean, yeah,
get rid of the countdown, get rid of all that, and just have it where maybe Governor Nix is going to try to invade this. This has Tomorrowland. Now he wants this world also. Yeah. But now they have to fight back to get back what they try to invent in Tomorrowland, a better future.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely would have been, like, very, Tron Legacy-ish if you went that route, but
I like Tron Legacy.
I mean, yeah. Like,
I know people don't, but I do.
Like I said, if you're going to steal, at least steal from something that did what you did successfully. And in Tron Legacy, you're in the world of Tron very early and
almost the whole time.
Yeah, so maybe you're right. Maybe you could have even been to Tomorrowland sooner, like maybe like earlier in the second act.
Maybe they never get kicked out of Tomorrowland. Maybe the whole movie is in Tomorrowland.
Yeah, or yeah, just like, you know, start out with just Casey and like kind of like her story of how she gets there, and then maybe Frank's still in there, or just I don't know. I just feel like it was like a bunch of exposition and first act.
You know what I feel? I feel like you could feel like the more I think about it, you can't have Frank's as a kid story and then Casey's. I feel like you just need one.
Yeah.
I feel like having both of them feels too long.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like if you're going to I think like the whole story just needs to be restructured. I think you need to choose between Casey or Frank.
And not have both?
Not have both. I mean, you can have both characters, but not their...
Not origin
how they got there. Like, don't have Frank as there and don't have Casey there. Only have one.
Yeah, I mean, Casey's was a lot more succinct, but it just... Yeah, I understand.
I liked Frank's a lot because I thought the one thing they did well was, which is very tough, is Frank and Athena's kind of love story, which is very hard to pull off, especially since
you're dealing with a
child and an older man. They could become really wrong, and I thought
it's a delicate.
I thought they did a really good job with it. So I really liked that one, but then again, I feel like you need kind of Casey kind of her story too. But I just feel like having both of them at the same time just doesn't work.
Or just reorganize and start out with Casey's part first, and then when she gets to Frank, you know, their shenanigans, and then somewhere in like the second act do a very truncated version of his history in Tomorrowland, especially where you get to see his more adult life in it, because he clearly left as like a college student, like
I think
college
so.
age man, because like 1984, so he would have been like 20 when he left. So doing something where you just got to see everything and not just so much of him being a kid and getting there. Get to see him getting there very quickly, see him develop there, and then see his sort of disillusionment with it. and do that like in like a very like succinct flashback segment when like maybe like when confronted with Governor Nix or whoever, you know,
Yeah.
or whoever, you know, the guy that you Laurie played, when confronted by him, maybe have him make like some sort of snide comment about, well, which he basically did, of like, you never should have come back or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when Casey's like, you know, why did you leave and everything, when they're locked up, that's when he goes into it, you know, and talks about it or something. I mean, it definitely took, it would take a lot, like basically a complete, it would take some editing gymnastics to make this movie flow.
I think editing can help it flow, but to really make it flow right, you would need the rewrite.
It would definitely need to be rewritten. That's almost a given. But even if you rewrote it and you kept the structure the same, it still, I think, doesn't work. You know, I feel like there's parts that do feel out of place in conjunction with
that's why you just need the complete rewrite, really.
Yeah.
It's a good concept, just need to be taken from a different angle.
Yeah. Not to just like rag on this movie though. I mean, I think a positive was the acting.
The acting was the best part. Athena, I don't know her name.
I don't know the name,
but
of the actress,
she did a great job. She's probably the standout of the movie. George Clooney, solid as always. Britt Robertson did wonderful.
Yeah.
Hugh did wonderful.
And
the
you know,
Frank as a kid did really well.
Even Tim McGraw as Casey's...
Tim McGraw's not a bad actor at all. I mean, he's not great, but he's a solid actor.
He did what he
I mean, as a supporting role actor, I think he does fine.
And I mean, really, just to kind of like talk about the actress that plays Athena. I mean, she's like, Britt Robertson is a child actress that has kind of been through it and is solid. George Clooney is a heavy hitter, and like this, like relatively I don't think I've seen that child actress.
I haven't seen her,
but she like held her own and was honestly like sometimes the more riveting part of her scenes.
Yeah,
like,
she
more captivating.
She could be the most interesting character of the movie.
Yeah, I just felt like, I mean, you gotta like applaud that and hope that she kind of stays on that.
Yeah, stays on the path and keeps growing. Maybe be a Gordon-Levitt. One of the child actors that really have success as an adult and continue on.
Exactly.
Because it's very rare for child actors to really continue on and keep growing and becoming better.
Yeah. My score for it would be a rental.
I thought we might differ this one. Never mind.
I mean, a rental that's close to matinee, close enough. If you really wanted to see it, go ahead and see it now. Go ahead and see it in the afternoon, so that you don't feel like you end your night like on a kind of low point. Because if we saw this like late at night and like it was like the last thing like we did, I would have felt like it was a waste of a day.
Yeah. But afternoon you can.
Yeah, see it in the afternoon. Don't pay like the full price for it, and like leave the rest of your day like to do with what you will. But otherwise, if it's just something that maybe you just want to check off your list, just rent it from Redbox.
Yeah, my score is the exact same. I thought we might differ this one, but mine's rental. I feel it's a really good rental.
Yeah.
I feel like you can skip it in theaters, be honest with you. But when it comes out at rental, I think it's a good to rent, to take home. I think even might be a more enjoyable movie at home.
Yeah, probably.
So I think renting it, if you wanted to wait till it hits Netflix and might stream, till it's on, Amazon or whatever, it's a really good rental. I would pay $5 on Amazon to rent this movie. So I think it's where it needs to be. Rental, watch it at home. I really don't feel like you need to go to the theaters to watch this movie. All right, so next week we're going to go see San Andreas with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Carla Gugino.
Yep, and we're very excited. Hopefully it's a good disaster film, and hopefully the crowd we're actually watching in theater is better. So we're going to be seeing this tomorrow night. On Thursday, day before it actually comes out. We're very excited to actually get to see a movie before Friday. Yep. So, but we'll see you all next week. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Joe.
And thank you for watching Boys of Summer. See ya.
Guys.